Hello everyone, it's time for Reading and Creating with Sherri again, Summer Reading Edition. Okay, before I start with today's book and activity, I want to show you what we did last week. We did some sculpture. I did some kind of flat sculpture. Let me show you what I did. If you were watching last week, you saw that I made some homemade dough. I made a sun and I made a star. Well, I let them dry and they got pretty hard. They're still drying a little bit. I took my star and I painted it with some blue paint that I had. With the sun, I just decided to coat it with some glue, sprinkle a little bit of glitter on, and the features, actually, when they drew, they didn't stick to the sculpture. They fell off, actually, and so when I put the glue on, I just glued them back on, and I did not cover them with the glitter so you can see them better. I'm fairly pleased with how it came out. I hope you do some sculpture. If you looked at my challenges this week, you saw that I'm challenging all of you to make your own sculpture using dough, whatever kind of materials you want to use. All right. Now let's get started with today's book. I'm going to be reading a book called If Not for the Cat. This book has two elements. All of the poems, it's a poem book, a collection of poems. All the poems are written in a form called haiku, which we'll talk about. And then also, these haiku poems are all riddles. So what we do is we read the haiku and then we try to figure out what animal they're talking about. Now, spoiler alert, the animal is going to be in the picture, so you're not going to have to think too hard to figure out what it is. But I want you to listen to the poem and see how the haiku poem suggests the animal that is the speaker in the poem. Let's just start. If Not for the Cat. Haiku by Jack Prelutsky and the paintings by Ted Rand. I learned that these two are neighbors out in Washington State. Jack is a very famous children's book author, and Ted does a lot of illustrations. If Not for the Cat. If not for the cat and the scarcity of cheese, I could be content. What is this poem telling us? Who's speaking? It's the mouse. And he's saying, if it wasn't for that cat and the fact that I don't get a lot of cheese, I could be happy. Next one. I, the hoverer, sip the nasturtium's nectar and sing with my wings. What animal is that? Of course, it's a hummingbird. Do you like how the poem describes the animal? Very briefly, but very well. That's what haiku is about. Being very spare with the language, but very descriptive. This one says, boneless, translucent, we undulate, gelatinously. Gelatinously, that must be, do you know? Of course, it's a jellyfish. Doesn't the music in that poem just make you think of a jellyfish just working its way through the water? It does for me. That's what poetry is. It's like music and words. I think you know what that animal is. Let's listen to his haiku. I am slow, I am. Slowest of the slow, I am. In my tree, I am. That's what he lives for. Just to go along very slowly, eating leaves. It's a sloth. Oh, what is this? We are wrinkled hulks with astonishing noses. Our ears block the sun. If you didn't have the picture, I'm pretty sure you all could figure out what animal that was, because especially the part about the astonishing noses. I don't know that there's any more astonishing nose in the animal kingdom than the elephant. This one's nice but kind of sad. How foolish I am! Why am I drawn to the flame which extinguishes? That means it makes me go out. Because as you know, if a moth, that's what that is, goes to the flame, it's probably going to die if it gets too close. Even a light bulb. Have you noticed that? Moths are attracted to the light, but it's not good for them. Raucously we call. Your straw men do not fool us. We burgle your corn. It's a crow. And it's true. People could put up scarecrows. You can see in the bottom of the picture there. But those crows still manage to get their share of the corn out of the field, don't they? Yeah. They are relentless. Here's one I like. It's an otter. I snack on my back, crack my dinner on my chest. Bliss in the water. He looks pretty happy. I think he's eating a sea urchin. Oh boy, look at that. Know what that is? Look at the tail. Don't think about it. Just leave the vicinity if you hear my tail. It's a rattlesnake, and they rattle to say, hey, I'm here. Get away from here. You don't want to be near me. And here is a bird. I think this is a parrot. Gaudily feathered with nothing at all to say, I can't stop talking. Parrots just seem to have to be squawking and talking. But we love their colors, don't we? Look at all those ants. This poem makes me think of ants because when you're watching a bunch of ants running around on the ground, they just come and they come and they go and they go. And here's our haiku for the ants. We are many in our hill. And not far behind, we've got another animal, and his haiku says, I spend all my time picking up ants with my tongue. It's a busy life. It's an anteater. Just a few weeks ago, I saw some anthills in the woods, and I'm going to tell you what, I just can't believe how those teeny tiny creatures can build such a high mound. There's millions of them. What do we have here? Here's the haiku for the kangaroo. Safe inside my pouch sleeps the future of my kind, delicate and frail. Yes. The baby kangaroo has to live inside the mother's pouch till it's big enough to be out in the big wide world. And I like this one. I have no hatchet, and yet I fell a forest. My teeth are my tools. Yeah, they do. It's a beaver. Beavers are able to chop down big trees just by using their teeth and gnawing away at it. It takes a little bit longer than a chainsaw, but still they can do it to build their dams. Oh, here's a nice one. I bet you all know what that animal is. From nests in the clouds, we survey our dominion with telescope eyes. It's an eagle, and they've got nests way up high. And they look for their prey, they look for what they're going to eat, and they get it. Yeah. I think the eagles are probably kings of the skies. Uh-oh, here's one we recognize. When I raise my tail, expressing my displeasure, even wolves make tracks. That's the truth. And people. And dogs sometimes are a little bit stupid, and they decide to engage with a skunk, but they get sprayed, and oh boy, that's not good. Yep. Look at this page, our last page. Wingless we went in, but we emerged as flyers. And oh, such colors. Wingless as caterpillars. They built their chrysalis, but when they came out, butterflies and moths. I like that haiku. When I was getting ready for today, I read a little bit about haiku, and some of the things I learned are interesting. There's lots of kinds of haiku, but we're just going to talk about one form today. But an important thing about haiku is that it's a poem that takes one moment in time and just focuses on that. It uses, obviously, not very many words, and so when you're writing a haiku, people who write haiku very well want to choose their words very carefully, because they're restricted in the amount. And the idea is to convey your idea very simply and clearly and beautifully, because that's what poetry is. Now, I'm going to show you what the form of haiku is. All right? I thought the easiest way for us to learn how to write haiku was to talk about the syllables. I'm not sure if you noticed in the poems I read, but the first line has 7 syllables. And a syllable is one sound in the English language. Sometimes you could call it a beat, okay? And I drew some hands so that to show how the first line has 7 syllables. That's a hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. And then 2 fingers on the other hand equals 7. The middle line has 5 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll show you a little bit when I have the screen up. And then the last line, again, has 7 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me read the poem, If Not for the Cat, again. And I'll read it very rhythmically so you can hear the beats, okay? Here we go. I should have marked my page, but here we are. It goes like this. If not for the cat, that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the scarcity of cheese. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I did this wrong. It goes 5, 7, 5. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. If not for the cat, 5, and the scarcity of cheese, I could be content. 5 again. That's okay. We can fix that really quick. Okay, even story time, ladies. Mess up. Okay, so what we need is yes. And please forgive me. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to start all over. Okay? So, if not for the cat, 5, and the scarcity of cheese, 7, I could be content. Good. All right. And I think you can remember that, right? I wrote some haiku. And fortunately, the ones I wrote, I did do in the correct form of 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables. And here's what I wrote. I'll read these to you, okay? The first one I wrote is a little bit like the riddles in the book. Guess who we're talking about? Library lady, I like to read and create. It is what I do. And that would be me, Sherri. I wrote another one because honestly, it's one of those days when I would like to be outside. But, you know, we all have those days when we'd like to be outside, but we need to be inside doing schoolwork, doing chores. How do you feel in those days? Here's how I feel. Why does the sun shine when I have to be inside? I wish it would rain. On the days when I have to be inside, at my job, or doing other things, I wish it would rain and save the sunny days when I can be out there enjoying it. And the last one I wrote was for my dog, Aggie. Little Aggie May, waggly, licky, jumpy pup, fills our home with joy. How do you like that? The best haiku captures a moment in time and expresses it to the reader in a way that hopefully is going to make the reader feel it too, and maybe feel some happiness about it. Haiku, I suppose, could be sad, but I think it's usually not. And haiku, I learned that the ancient haiku forms mostly were concerned with things in nature. So they were celebrating the natural world, and I think that's just a wonderful thing. It's one of the reasons I love haiku. I love other kinds of poetry too. And in our challenges for next week, if you check on Monday, you'll see some challenges. I'm going to challenge you to write some haiku poems. You can start now if you would like. There's no reason for you to wait. But there's a lot of things that we observe in our world. And one of the most best ways to capture it, so you can look back later and remember it, and to share it with other people, is to write poetry. So I hope you're going to be excited about doing that. I hope you're going to try your hand at it. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be an expert to do these things. Remember, it's all about thinking about what's in your head and putting it out there. Whether you're writing a poem, making a picture, singing a song, whatever it is. All right, thanks for coming today. I hope you learned a little bit, and I hope you're inspired to write some poetry yourself. See you next time. Bye.